So, the actual patch notes finally got released, and there's apparently a lot of other things that are gonna be happening, like a tribe rework, new heroes in the game, all the quest rewards, so I'm gonna cover that right now. They're talking again about the Battlegrounds track season pass, but I'm not really gonna go into that anymore. I think I've talked about that enough. It's talking a bit about Battlegrounds missions, which we haven't mentioned yet. They're basically just a weekly quest that you can get to get Battlegrounds XP towards the track, so it's not just top 4s. But you can also just do quests like there is for standard Hearthstone right now to farm XP and progress. They talk about quests again, which we talked about. These are all the different ways that you can do a quest. I think all of these were also revealed already and I've also talked about, but the rewards is the most important part. This is just what you need to complete, and these also change depending on the hero that you are, the tribes in the lobbies, how hard your quest is to complete, and how good the reward is. So these are all very flexible. These are all the rewards. Now these are really important because these are the big payoffs and are what gonna shape up the game. Now sadly there's no rewards for these, but I know that there is a tweet by Nina that we can look at. So these already got revealed. Now the devil's in the details is at the end of your turn, your left and rightmost minions consume a minion in Bob's Tavern. So you basically turn left and right most into fell bats kind of that eat from the shop. So pretty good scaling. Reminds me of Ragnaros where you buff your left and rightmost minion. Seems like an alright payoff. Snicker Snacks triggers at the end of your turn 2 friendly minions battle cries on the board. Now this works with buffs on the board, kind of like you would play the 6-drop Murloc that triggers a Battlecry Murloc next to it. So this could work if you have a Lookout on the board or just random Murlocs. You could play a Jug on the board, I guess. But where this really shines, I think, is with Battlemaster. Play a huge Battlemaster, and at the end of your turn, it's gonna gain a bunch of health again. Now, more quests being revealed. This one is after you refresh the shop. Things get +1/+1 in there, only for a turn. So kind of like a old Nosdormu buddy. It seems like these quests are sometimes inspired by what buddies used to be, which is kind of interesting because now everyone can kind of play with each other's buddies and you can complete a different quest for it. But I don't think it's that good. Like, it's alright for a tempo use early on, or it's good if you have a Fellbat composition, so that's, I think, the main application for this. Other than that, this seems like one of the weaker ones. Victim Spectre, after each combat, get a playing copy of the last friendly minion that died. So the last friendly minion that died on your board, you get a copy. So this will guarantee you that you get a pair on a random card from your board. Now, this is hard to make work because if you win a fight, you don't really know what is going to die last. So it's hard to really try and get a minion to die last on your board. So this is pretty inconsistent. If you lose a fight, it's a little bit more likely that your last minion on your board is the one that you're gonna get back, but again, no guarantee. So I don't think this is that good. This should be an easier reward to get because it's just gonna give you a single pair at the end of your turn, and sometimes if you get lucky, a triple. The friends along the way is at the start of your turn, get 2 random Naga. Great tool early on. It's a lot of tempo, a lot of well, if you play Naga, obviously pretty good scaling, so this is gonna get you triple. Seems like an alright reward, but you are indeed forced to just go with Naga from this point on, so it might depend on the kind of hero that you are playing. At the end of your turn, give your rightmost minion stealth until next turn and +8 health. Now you finally see stealth in Battlegrounds, never seen that before. There's some clarification I need to make. So a stealth minion cannot be attacked into, but as soon as it attacks, it removes stealth that combat, so then it can be attacked into as well. So it can still attack even though it has stealth. It can also still be targeted by Zap, was clarified by the dev, so even if this is stealthed, Zap can still target it if it's the lowest attack unit. So you can't just play your Baron, give it stealth, and think you're safe. Although it does give +8 health, so it is kind of protected against the Zap if the Zap is not buffed. And lastly, it can also be targeted by stuff like Bomb, I think, so it can still be sniped by effects that do not directly interact with it. We also got Wondrous Wisdom Ball, occasionally gives you helpful refreshes, so you randomly get like a free refresh, I think. Yogg-tastic Tasties, just at the start of your turn, you spin the Wheel of Yogg. I think we all remember Wheel of Yogg from Darkmoon prizes and from Yogg's buddy when buddies were a thing. Now some prizes did change, which we'll look at in a second, but every turn, like every start of turn, you will spin this wheel, which is a lot. First of all, your turns are going to be a bit shorter, but this could be super high rolling, but also be pretty bad because there's a couple ones like on this wheel that you don't really like having. And Staff of Origination, start of combat, give your minions +15/+15. When I saw this seemed insane. +15/+15 to all your minions is nuts. It's so much stats. It's like a +105 stats if you have a full board. 105, that's nutty. But keep in mind, this is start of combat, so because it's combat, it does not stay permanently. It is gonna be gone once you go back in the shop phase. So it's just a one-time boost. Pretty toxic. As soon as you face someone with this reward, you're gonna lose almost guaranteed because that's just such a spike. It doesn't scale though, except for Taragosa. So if you have Taragosa, you get +15 on those every turn. But apparently this quest is pretty hard to get. So again, these quests seem really strong and overpowered, but apparently this one should be really hard to get. You know, you're gonna get a tough quest line to try and complete this. But we'll see how that is gonna play out. Tiny Henchman is at the end of your turn, give 2/2 to 3 friendly minions from territory 3 or lower. So a mini Light Fang, instead of buffing random tribes +2/+2, you only buff 3 cards, so +6/+6 a turn on cards from tier 3 or lower, which is pretty bad because you can't buff a Cleave now or a whatever, but you can buff Deflectable, Bronze Warden, Cyclone. There are still good cards on lower tiers. You just, well, of course, can't guarantee which ones it land on if you have multiple. It's also not that many stats, but it's just passive gain. I'm assuming this one is pretty easy to get. This is just nice scaling to get online pretty early, but it's not going to win you the game or anything like that. Now, how the results of Yog's Wheel changed is this one mystery box, make a random minion in Bob Stefan Golden, which is pretty good. Just getting a random golden in the shop, not that bad. You get a triple reward of that, so I would like to hit that. Now add 2 random Darkmoon prizes to your hand. I'm not 100% sure if this can also be from higher turns, like if you can get turn 18 and turn 12 spells, that is going to be absolutely, or turn 16 and turn 12 spells, that's going to be absolutely insane. I don't think that's how it works, because otherwise you could do some broken stuff with this, but I'm pretty sure just from your turn or lower. I don't think it's that good then. And then Curse of Flash, give your minions +3/+3, then randomly shuffle their stats. This one I don't like that much, because imagine if you have like a big Deflecto and a big Cleave or something, and then just a Bran and a buff. Maybe you play a Mug on the board still, because you have to end your turn, or a Leroy, and then the stats get shuffled. You have a massive Leroy, a massive Jug that you wanted to sell, and your Cleave and your Taunt or Deflecto are pretty small. So I don't really like this one that much. But early on it is good tempo. This one is good to hit on the earlier turns. So I'm not sure how likely this or how easy this is to get. And even more rewards. Like, I like that there are so many different quest rewards. This is gonna make every game feel so fresh and so different. So I'm really liking what they're doing here. Now this adds another card to your hand. I have no clue what the hell that means. This is explained later. Your end of turn effects trigger twice. So end of turn effects trigger twice again is borrowed from Ragnaros' buddy, who literally did this as well. And there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with this. Again, it works with Light Fang, with Mithrax, it works with Felbat. So a lot of cool scaling opportunities here, and I like to see this effect back in the game. You can be pretty creative with it. I love this. Cooked Book, after you buy a minion, give it +1/+1 and upgrade this. Now this is what I have to think about for a bit, but this seems really strong when you play stuff like APM Pirates, maybe even Nomi Elementals when you cycle a lot of cards, or Murlocs, whatever. But whenever you buy a card, this will get +1/+1. The next card you buy will get +2/+2, and that kind of scales infinitely. You want to play a composition that wants to cycle a lot, and then you can just start buying cards in the shop with like +30 or more stats. Again, pretty specific on the hero that you're playing and the tribe, but has, you know, potential to again scale and make you buy some big cards, I guess. Mirror Shield, after each refresh, give a minion Bob Stefan +4/+4 and Divine Shield. So basically you could Divine Shield any card in the game, a Hydra. Basically you're playing George, but it's random, so you can't make sure that it targets on the card that you want to buy sometimes, or more than not, it's gonna land on a card that you don't want to buy. But early on this seems pretty good. It seems like a good power tempo play where you can just get random buff Divine Shield cards on the board and make that work into something. So you need to be able to get this early, because I think in the late game it's gonna be pretty bad. Unless of course it lands on a Manted Queen, but hey, there's better quests to get in the late game, it seems, than this one. Secret Sinstone, after you discover a card, get an extra copy of it. Well, first thing I thought was this with Elise. If you go to tier 6, you get multiple 6 drops, or with Cookie or Galewing. There's a lot of heroes that discover with hero power. Could be really strong. Wait, does this work with Galakron as well? There's some broken interactions I'm thinking of, but we do know that some quests are not offered to some heroes, so this might not be offered to heroes that I just talked about. We'll have to wait and see. And also, it works if you triple, so if you get this quest the turn before you triple into something, you're gonna get 2 copies of that. This seems like a really good one, just because, well, getting, like, if you have 2 triples lined up, getting 4 6 drops, for example, just instantly wins you the game. So I would assume this one is hard to complete, and you might not be able to get this before you pop off. But if you can get this before you're planning to triple, let's say turn 7, then it's definitely going to be one of the stronger ones. And even more, I think these are the 4 last ones. We got Pilfered Lamps. You only need 2 copies of a minion to make it golden. This one seems the most broken. I'm not gonna lie, getting only needing 2 copies to make something golden is insane. Just imagine whatever cards you have on the board, whatever cards you find, you just need 1 more copy to triple it. Thinking of Varden's hero power, gonna be nuts with this. I don't know, this probably won't be offered if you're playing Varden, that would be too broken. But this probably is gonna be the most, or the hardest quest to get, because this snowballs insanely hard. Red hand at the start of your turn, give a minion in your hand +12/+12. Seems really powerful, but also balanced in the way that you have to play down for a turn, or for multiple turns if you want to scale this. Let's say you buy a Hydra or a Deflectobot. Early on, you will be taking a lot of damage because, well, you're holding this in hand, meaning you spend gold, you're not developing a board, you're going to take damage. If you just live long enough, +12/+12 is a lot, especially if you can target it on whatever card you want. You could hold it for multiple turns. So you could just buy a module, hold it for a couple turns, and then slap it onto a random mech, and you're going to be in a really good position. So it depends on how hard this is to complete and how much we can greed in the meta that comes up, because we don't know if we're going to be in a more tempo-ish meta, things are going to be very aggressive, or if we can greed to a certain degree. And here's Menagerie Mayhem. I just love this art. I love Menagerie Mug and Jug, so I already like this quest mainly because of that. At the end of your turn, give your minions +1 attack for each friendly minion type. Sadly, the quest I don't like. So first of all, you are forced to play Menagerie. If you play 3 different tribes, let's say, at the end of your turn, you get +3 attack on all your friendly minions. Not that good, again, compared to the auto scaling that we've seen, especially if you compare this to Rokara's hero power, that could even be better than this, and you don't have to play random tribes. I don't think this one is going to be that good. Probably rather easy to complete, though. Alter Ego, odd tier minions in Bob 7 have +6/+6, and it swaps to even, so it keeps swapping from odd to even tier minions, getting +6/+6. Again, a good tempo card. Buffing the shop is really good, especially if you're going to play a Felbat comp or comps that eat from the shop. This is going to be pretty good. But odd and even, the one thing that I thought of, it's good tempo early on. Later in the game, it doesn't really matter the +6/+6 in the shop, so it's probably going to be rather easy to get compared to some of the other quests. It is a bit counterintuitive, because let's say you're on tier 4, you want to buy 4 jobs, this is even, you buy buff 4 jobs. The turn after, you're level to tier 5, spend all you go leveling, then it's gonna be odd. And then the turn after, when you roll on tier 5 and you want to buy the 5 drop, it's gonna swap back to even. So actually the level turn in between makes this a bit awkward, because the turn that you level to a certain tier and then start rolling, the turn after, your buff is not gonna line up with the cards that you probably want to be buying. Just a small thing that I thought of. And those were all of the quests, or all of the rewards. One thing I will point out, the card that I talked about earlier, the random card that it adds to your hand, the Ghastly Mask, where your effects trigger twice, it's gonna add a random end of turn minion to your hand, which seems pretty insane. If you already double your end of turn effects, getting another random end of turn effect minion in your hand seems really good. So the quest just got, or the reward just got even better. Just to clarify, they are randomly paired together. The numbers in these quests are based depending on the reward they are paired with, based on how juicy the reward is. The less powerful rewards will make your quest easier to complete, and the more powerful rewards will make your quest harder to complete. There are also small adjustments based on your hero's armor tier, slightly harder for heroes with less armor, slightly easier for heroes with more armor. General updates: the turn 4 6 gold turn will have its turn timer slightly extended because of the quest mechanic. Players can now exceed 10 gold when selling minions. Oh, that's pretty interesting. Or otherwise gaining gold during shopping phase. The start of turn maximum is still 10 gold. So now if you're at 10 gold, sometimes it was awkward because you wanted to buy something in the shop, but you have to sell something on board, and then you would have to waste the gold. Now there's no wasting gold anymore. If you have 10 gold at the start of your turn, whatever hero you are, you can sell it and you'll go to 11. That's how I understand this. The exclusively weekly quests like finish top 4 in Battlegrounds have been removed because we got the Battlegrounds missions and stuff. And we get 3 legendary quests that award new Battlegrounds cosmetics. Okay. So we looked at the heroes already as well. Don't think there's much to add. I don't like them that much. Now, hero updates. This we need. We need them to address a lot of the bad heroes, especially now with the Tavern Pass only offering 2 heroes. There needs to be more balance. So let's take a look. Rakanishu, which has been an awful hero for a while, basically just got removed from, or moved from 2 gold hero power to a 1 gold hero power, which makes it a lot better. Obviously, you now need to spend only 1 gold a turn to get stats, but it's good early on. It's getting like +4/+4 for 1 gold. Pretty nice. Maybe this is a power level hero now. But again, in the late game, if you're tier 5, 1 gold for +5/+5 is not going to make much of a difference. So I think this is definitely going to make the hero good. It's definitely probably going to see play. Like, I don't think you can neglect the tempo that this is going to give you. Depending on the meta, of course, like if tempo is valuable or not. But it does still not win lobbies. It's going to be like a top 3 hero. Patchwork. with 55 health will now have 60 health. So Patchwork, they just keep bumping up the health. They'll just keep going up until the 0 is unkillable. But basically you can almost not bottom 4 anymore. I guess like if you just play a juggler board or whatever, you're pretty much always guaranteed MMR. I don't like that they're just boosting the health, but what else are you gonna do with Patchwork? It's gonna make the hero better, of course, I guess. We'll see what this means. Vandar Stormpike is redesigned and now has a completely different hero power. Passive Avenge 2. Give your minions +1 health permanently. I think this was similar to the Buddy. I think the Buddy did the same thing, kind of. So now Avenge 2 things just need to die if you have a Death Rattle board, pretty good. You give +1 health permanently, permanent scaling, pretty nice. Now health is pretty valuable and this is gonna stack up pretty quickly. I think this could actually be deceptively strong, like just getting your early cards, their health boosted by quite a bit. You're gonna turn your entire board into Battle Masters. Depending on how good poison is going to be. Drektar, so the counterpart, has a new hero power as well, which is Avenge 3. Give your minions +1 attack permanently. So apparently the attack is more valuable than health because they have Avenge 3 here. And I would say so, yeah, with like Max, for example, your deflectabots, everything is just going to scale up so much in attack. But Avenge 3 is quite a bit, and attack early on is also less valuable than health if you want to start value trading. This is a better mid-late game Avenge thingy, because +1 health in the late game doesn't matter, while the plus attack on the Valiant Shield cards onto Cleaves is way better. So if you make it to higher tiers, it's going to have more of an impact. It's definitely a better hero power than what it used to be. Good enough to see a lot of play? I don't know. Arana has a really interesting change where they will now always replenish the shop to 7 minions. Such as after buying a minion, meaning if you have your hero power active and you buy something from the shop, it's gonna instantly refresh that with a new card in the shop. I think that's a pretty cool change, definitely a buff to Arana. Don't think that makes her that much better, but it's a nice bonus. Flurgle, Sally got killed. Let's see what the new thing is. So passive, after you sell 4 minions, get a random Murloc. What the, I don't know, man. They used to just well, give you a Murloc in the shop if you sold anything on your board. Now you need to sell 4, but you get a random Murloc in hand, so you do not need to commit the money anymore to buy something in the shop. Downside is, sometimes the Murlocs in the shops are bad and you can just skip them, right? But now you could get bad Murlocs in hand and that's it, that's your hero power. Also selling 4. Early on that is really hard. How are you gonna end up selling 4 minions? This is good with Elemental and with tokens, I guess, but other than that, it's a big gold sink. Buying 4 minions and then selling each, that costs 8 gold total. So 8 gold that you gotta spend early on, assuming you don't buy tokens, for a single Murloc. That could be bad. I think this is worse. I think they made Flurgle even worse. Of course, people are gonna point out, Bran, look out, that you're gonna just buy buffs, so you're gonna cycle and keep getting Murlocs. Yes, then it's good, but try and get to that point without dying first. So I think the early game had to be good, but the early game is still shit, so I don't think Flurgle will be able to pop off like this is intended. Craig has no text change but can now store over 10 gold, which is pretty sick. And that's another benefit from the change that we got, where people or heroes could just go over 10 gold. You can get, you know, if you are greedy, 11, 12, even more gold in a single turn and pop off like crazy. I don't know, I usually use the hero power before 10 gold anyway, so this is not really going to change or impact how I play Crag. But who knows, you're not pressured anymore to press your hero power. A lot of changes, Galewing as well. So the old passive gave your leftmost minion 1 attack, +2 attack in 1 turn. Now it's going to be in 1 turn, give your leftmost minion +2/+1. So they just give an extra health, right? Leftmost minion gets +1 health as well. Now the 5 turn hero power, which would reduce your level up with 5 gold, will now reduce it with 6 gold. So small buffs. I think Galewing is just a hero where you usually take the middle path. You just discover a card, that's just kind of what you do, like a cookie. But this might make you think about pressing the level maybe at some point. We'll have to see if someone figures out a nice curve with this. Someone could do the math, right? Those were the hero changes. I'm surprised to not see Togwaggle change. Togwaggle is still a super oppressive and annoying hero to face. On turn, let's say 4, 5, 6, when they power level, then they steal entire shops. You're gonna take like 10+ damage. Sad to see them not touch Togwaggle, but okay. New minions. So they were reworking demons. First of all, we get Picky Eater, which is a 1-star 1/1. Consume a random minion in Bob's Tavern to gain its stats. And I like this concept a lot. So you play this and basically it's gonna have the same stats as if you would buy something from the shop, but with an additional 1/1 to win. Doesn't seem like too much, but again, you could buff the shop, and then in the mid game, you still don't really want to play this because you just have a 1/1 that's eats something. Might as well buy the big stats from the shop that could have a bonus effect. Where this shines though is the triple. I think early on you just want to play this because you could like just get a good pair on this. It's good stats. The +1/+1 is going to be relevant in early fights. And then if you triple this, it reminds me of Pogo, because you're going to have such a huge thing on the board suddenly. Because as you can see, the golden version is consume a random minion and gain double the stats. So massive spike. So I think that's mainly how we're going to see this card being played. On tier 1, it's going to just play as more of a tempo-ish card. You want to get this pair, and as soon as you got a triple, it's not even bad because it's going to become huge. It's just a big demon that stays on your board for a bit. So that's why I like this card. Also with the quest that is going to like trigger 2 battle cries on the board at the end of your turn, it could trigger this, so it could scale at the end of your turn as well. Mind Muck. This is one of my favorite new cards, I think. It's a 2-star free 2 demon. Battle cry, choose a friendly demon. It consumes a minion Bob Tavern to gain its stats. So you can target a different demon on your board, and then that demon will eat from the shop again. And this is continuous scaling, so this only works once. But this, you can just keep buying and playing. Again, works great if you scale up the elementals in your shop with Nomi, with Dazzling Light spawn, or with other things that we're going to see in a second, or with the quest. There's a lot of quests and rewards that end up buffing your shop, as we've seen. So just nice to keep scaling your demons. Also works with brands, so now brand demons is a potential thing you could do and just eat 2 things from the shop. So I really like the design choice that they made with, you know, where demons is heading. Piggyback Imp, I don't really care about. This is a 2-drop, 2-star 4/1. Death Rattle, summon another 4/1. It's kind of a filler card. This is just a card from Standard. I played Zuluk for a bit and I remember this card from there. So just took a Standard card, slapped it in Battlegrounds, and it's just here. Nether Drake is a 2-star 0/5 dragon. At the end of your turn, give your dragons +1 attack. Whoa boy. So a 0 attack is already very special, of course, but it only buffs your dragons. This does honestly not seem like a good card. You would think, okay, this is scaling really early on tier 2, but you gotta buy, well, tier 1 and tier 2 dragons then, and they only get +1 attack a turn. Not amazing, but it's something. But if you have like non-dragons on the board, this is useless. This card is just a 0/5 that, you know, I guess it scales itself +1 attack a turn, so it's not completely useless. It's a 1/5, then a 2/5, then a 3/5. I think it's an interesting card. It's not gonna make dragons, because dragons are in a rough spot right now. They needed buffs, they needed changes, and I don't think this is what they needed, but it's an interesting card. But it might see some play. Ember Guardian. A 3-star 3/2. Start of combat, give another friendly dragon +3/+3 and Divine Shield. Kind of reminds me of Bronze Warden, but the difference is that this is a start of combat one, gives Divine Shield to another dragon, like a Minion Nadina maybe, but that's not permanent because it's during combat or at the start of a combat. So I think at the end of combat it gets removed, meaning it's just a 3/2, or actually I should say a 6/5 Divine Shield card itself. A 6/5 Divine Shield card on tier 3, not that bad. It could see play. Again, this might be the payoff of building like a really big early dragon with Nether Drake, with Nether Drake, or with Chroma Wing. Whatever you want to end up doing, maybe just, what is the double attack dragon called? I forgot the name. The 2-drop that doubles the attack when it attacks. All of these are pretty good with a Divine Shield on them and with a buff, so that could be the use for this card. It is interesting. Legion Overseer is a 3-star 4/4 demon, so more towards the demon rework, which gives minions and Bob Tavern +2/+2. Now, this is permanent, so if you buy something from the shop, it's going to keep that +2/+2 buff. First of all, an amazing tempo card. It seems like if you hit this, you're just going to have an incredibly strong board. If you power level and hit this, really good. And also it buffs the shop, so you have all of those demon synergies that want to eat from the shop, and you will have an extra +2/+2 with that. So ties in nice with the package. I think it's a really cool card and interesting concept. It seems a bit toxic though. I think people who hit this early are just going to steamroll, so we'll have to see if I'm correct about that. First Mate Pip is a 3-star 5/4 pirate. You only need 2 copies of this to make it golden. I love this concept, but I feel like everyone is just gonna buy this, right? Why would you not? A 5/4 pirate is not a bad card on tier 3. That's decent. I would pick that just because for the stat line, right? And the fact that it has a tribe is even a bonus. And you only need 2 copies, so literally just find 1 more, you have a triple lined up. This pretty sick card, I gotta say. A lot of people are gonna make a bunch of golden First Mate Pips. Treasure Seeker Elise is a tier 4 5/5 neutral. After you refresh 5 times, find the golden monkey. So you basically just need to, after you play this, refresh 5 times in the shop, and then you find a golden monkey that appears in Bob's Tavern. The golden monkey is always golden and gives you a triple reward when played. So even more triple rewards. I don't know why, but they're putting so many ways that you can triple right now in the game. So you roll 5 times, then you spend 3 more gold, so that's a total of 8 gold. Quite a bit, although you can sell it back, so 7 gold total to get a triple reward. If you're desperate and you just want a 7 gold triple reward, you can go for this, I guess. In itself, it's a 5/5 neutral. It's interesting, but again, you gotta roll, meaning you can't just buy things, you can't get stronger. You need to actively spend 5 gold rolling. And if you end up buying 2 cards in a turn or 3 cards, then you might not, like, you don't get this anymore. So it might take multiple turns to get this golden monkey that you find, because you also still need the gold to buy it from the shop. So this seems like you're, if you're in a really desperate situation, you might want to take this. Randall the Mr. Minds is a tier 4, 4/5. We saw this one already. I'm not going to discuss it anymore, but seems like an alright card. Basically, for those of you who missed it, at the end of your turn, steal the highest tier minion from Bob's Tavern. Trolden Blue Shell. Looks sick. It's a 5-drop, 4/7. If you lost combat, this minion sells for 5 gold. So this is a card that you're just gonna buy, sell. It has no other application. It should not be on your board, shouldn't do anything. Unless you could buy this, I guess, wait until you lose a fight and then sell it. But as a 5-drop, this feels awful. Imagine tripling into tier 5 and finding this. Oof. It's like a gambler, but slightly better, but also situational, because if you don't lose a fight, this is useless. It's a cool card, but I think it should be a tier 4. I think this on tier 5 is a bit much. But it's a nice comeback mechanic. I think it's interesting. I just don't think it should be a 5-drop. And then Team Master Teotar, we also talked about this one already. It's a 6-drop, 6/6 neutral. After you play a minion with no minion type, give 3 friendly minions of different types, +2/+2. Now, minion updates. These are also very important. Toxfin is back, and that means that Sefin is removed. But this is probably the biggest part of the update, honestly. Sefin has been an issue. I did an entire video on why. So seeing Sefin removed is good. And I think Toxfin is healthier for the game. I'm not going to go too in depth because this recording is incredibly long, but you got to spend more gold trying to poison your board. It's harder to find instead of just finding a single card and being able to fully transition and fully poison the board. So it's a bigger gold investment, and that's why I basically prefer Toxfin, and clearly the developers did as well, and I think a lot of other people. It's also not really a tech card. While Sefin you could just play on the board and you have a random poison. This one, you need to buy another Murloc first in order to make another tech card and have the board space. Cookie Chemist being removed. Finally, this card gave me so many headaches and so many other people. And we got a new 0 attack minion in the game, so it kind of makes sense. But Cookie Chemist, no longer can you swap stats and duplicate gems or make Naga Spellcraft permanent, so pretty cool to see. Stewardess Time also gone, which was the dragon on tier 2. The Blats also finally gone, pretty annoying card. I'm happy to see it leave. Silverback Patriarch, Monkey. I know we have a lot of Monkey enjoyers, but sorry, Monkey is dead, and I think it's for the better. Icky Imp was mainly a card that was good for Avenge synergies, if you play Juggler Demons, I guess, but I think the main application for this was always Avenge Hero Powers or things like Witchwing on tier 4, so seeing this being removed is mainly going to impact that. Overseer, which was the demon buff, so just the demon stuff that was removed to replace for the new demons that we got. Overseer was a +2/+2 buff on tier 2. Don't think it was that interesting. Soldivar was an interesting demon that I liked playing with. I think it was a cool triple reward. Playing 2 Overseers on the board was really fun because if you triple it, generate a lot of gold, generate a lot of stats. Sadly, that's no longer a thing. Briny Bootlegger was also a really fun pirate that gives you a coin every turn. I like that effect quite a bit. So that one is replacing the new pirate that we got on tier 3. Shifter Zeras, finally, just stupid high roll gone out of the game. RegisKillbin, pretty useless 4-drop, it's whatever. Witchwing, oh, Witchwing is removed. That's something I didn't see coming, because pretty cool payoff card, again, with Avenge synergy. So that being gone from tier 4 will have quite an impact, I think. Mithrax as well, they introduced quite a bit of menagerie scaling, so it's interesting to see them remove Mithrax. One of my favorite cards, and I think of a lot of other people as well. So sad to see him go once again. And yeah, and then Sefin, of course. Also, Trickster got a change from tier 1. Trickster is now tier 2 and got a health buff, which makes sense. Trickster was too stupid as a 1-drop, so as a 2-drop, I could see it be more balanced and give it a 1 health stat. That's fine. Imprisoner was a 2-drop demon, is now moved to tier 1 instead, and the base stats are moved down to a 2/2. So now we have a 2/2 Imprisoner on tier 1. Draconid Enforcer was a tier 3 card, is now tier 4, and also got a slight stat buff. I had the Draconid Enforcer. I don't think too many people care about that card either. And it's gonna be a pretty bad 4-drop. It already was a bad 3-drop. And that was the update for Battlegrounds. So like I said, this is probably the longest patch review I've ever done. We got a lot of new stuff, a lot of balance changes. We'll have to see how all of this impacts the game. It's really hard to, off the top of my head, try and figure out if this is balanced or because it's so much new shit. Really exciting though. Still a little bit sad about the other situation with the battle pass, but I'm not going to go into that anymore right now, maybe in the future. But I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.